I wake up and I told actually the product teams this morning, it was like 99.99% of the world doesn't think about this at all. We're in the 0.1% where we think about this all day, every day. I went to bed last night thinking about how we can think about improving a very particular experience for the car carrier.
Our guest today is Matt Bradley, the newly appointed CEO of Super Dispatch. At Super Dispatch, Matt is poised to lead the company into its next phase of growth and innovation in the auto transport industry. With nearly 2 decades of leadership experience, Matt has a remarkable track record of driving transformative change across technology and services. Before joining Super Dispatch, Matt served as the CEO of Cloudsnap, and before that, the Chief Strategy Officer at Rackspace, where he played a pivotal role in scaling the company to $2.5 billion in revenue. His career also includes early beginnings as an investment banking analyst at Morgan Stanley and extensive experience working at the intersection of technology and services to build growth-oriented solutions for customers and rewarding opportunities for employees. This is going to be a really good episode. Matt and I are going to get into a lot of things about Matt's background, why Matt is here in the auto transport industry, and some of Matt's and Super Dispatch's plans for down the road. If you stay tuned till the end or towards the end, you're going to get to hear what Super Dispatch's plans are for carrier experience, broker experience, and the shipper experience. And we're going to hear from Matt on some new innovative things that have never been done before in this industry that are coming in 2025. So stay tuned till the end. Welcome to Auto Transport Copilot, Matt.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show. I'm excited to introduce you to our audience, to our customers, to our partners, and allow them to get to know you better. I know this isn't your first day. You've been at Super for 2-3 months, and prior to that, we've known each other for quite some time. And this introduction is quite impressive. It's because you have a very impressive resume. But what are some things, tell us some things about you personally that we may not know about you.
Some things personally you may not know. I'm married to a wonderful wife. Her name is Kate. Met old school in a bar in New York City. I have 2 kids, 2 boys, 5 and 2. Our older son is named actually after my wife. Her last name is Parker. And so his first name is Parker, and our younger son is named after who passed away. What else? I play a lot of basketball, pick up basketball at the gym. I'm 40 and I'm getting injured more often than ever. So we're going through a set of discussions, my wife and I, as to whether I should still be playing basketball or whether I should just go to the gym and shoot. So those are a couple things, personally. I think professionally, we'll probably get into it, how I think about customers and how I think about service and, what we aim to achieve here at Super. But, I've worked at some big companies. I've worked at some small companies. I try and take those learnings and, put it all together, and we're going to put it all together here at Super.
Great. So we've known each other for some time. A few years ago, you've helped me out with some advising and mentorship. And for the past year or so, before you joining Super Dispatch as a CEO, you've been a board advisor and a CEO advisor. You've been a good partner and a consultant to Super Dispatch for the past year. And I've had a great time partnering with you, working with you. And as some of you may not know, we wrote a whole blog post about how this transition came to be. But long story short, I personally, as someone who has built Super Dispatch and as someone who deeply cares about the customers we serve in this industry and making auto transport easy as a whole, I could not be more excited to have Matt on board. My first question to you is this. So you have a lot of good experience. You've been very helpful to Super Dispatch and to me personally for about a year of working very closely together before you took on the CEO role. I think you could have, if you really wanted to, you could have, pursued any opportunity in the business world. And, for some time, I know you've been contemplating on what you might want to do next. But at the end of the day, you ended up choosing Super Dispatch and taking a leadership role as a CEO to lead the next chapter of Super Dispatch. So tell us a little bit about how they came to be and why you ended up choosing Super Dispatch.
Okay. So I think it started with the lightweight engagement we did together. And, for the audience, what basically happened is in November of 2023, Beck and I had a discussion around some help he needed on some what I would describe as side projects, how to think about certain go-to-market initiatives, how we should resource the team, certain product things, and how we should think about them in our long-term future. And, that lightweight engagement was loosely defined as, well, it was formally defined as quite light, 10 hours a month, but it was loosely defined as not so light. And so what happened is, I started getting involved with the team and I started to meet folks below Beck in the organization. So I met Stan, who is our CRO. I met members of the product team. I met members of engineering. I met our support staff. I met our onboarding teams. And I started to realize that there was a lot of work to do. And there was a tremendous opportunity. And so that intersection for me started to say, this is interesting and this could be really fun. And so, I ultimately thought about that. And then I said, hey, can I actually be helpful here? Like, are there things I can actually do to help? Because if I can't help, like, why would I do this? It's not helpful to the company. And if I can't help the company, why would I do that? Can I have fun doing it? And is this a market with a real opportunity? And so I took my learnings from having worked with the company, asked myself those questions. And then I thought, listen, this company has a tremendous opportunity. I think we have an absolutely tremendous opportunity. And so when I first got on with the team and we made the decision that I was going to be CEO and we did our announcement, I highlighted, really 4 reasons why I saw this as an amazing opportunity. The first is our brand. I think we have a phenomenal brand. I went to Used Car Week and not as the CEO, as an undercover, called the undercover boss that hadn't yet been announced, and just started polling people and saying, hey, have you heard of Super? What do you think about Super? And generally speaking, I would say people knew who we were, had a positive impression of us, and many folks knew what we did. Not everybody, but many folks knew what we did. And I think that is that's a privilege to have brand awareness in any industry. And, we're not starting from scratch here, which is exciting. I think the second thing, and it's related, but it's different, is our customer base. So we have well over 500 shippers on our shipper TMS, our shipper platform. And then we have thousands of carriers on our platform and using our driver app every day. And so, first of all, the impact that we have, the tangible impact we have in a car delivery is really cool. Like, it's really cool. We have real customers that are moving real vehicles and satisfying customers and drivers of those end vehicles every day. It's really cool. Like, we're actually making a difference in people's lives. We make it easier for drivers to get their signatures. We make it easier for them to take photos. We make sure those photos are geotagged. By the way, there's all these instructions around pickup and drop off. We make that easy. And by the way, it's complicated. You think it's easy to pick up a car? Well, do you know the code? Do you know exactly when you're supposed to be there? Do you get all the signatures that you need? Did you take a picture of the VIN? Et cetera. And by the way, there's 17 other instructions that certain shippers will want. And so how do you streamline that and create a really simple and easy to use experience so that the car can get moved? And so the tangible impact of customers is it's a real thing. I like tangible, real outcomes in the world. The second thing that's really important with having a customer base is, at our size, we can test and iterate really quickly. And so we have a whole roadmap of things we're working on. And we don't have to go into our idea lab and pontificate and think about what maybe we should do. We actually know. Our customers tell us every day, wouldn't it be cool if you did this? Wouldn't it be cool if you did this? Hey, I really want XYZ to happen. How can you make that happen for me? And so of course, we bring innovative ideas, and we actually do have our little pontification think lab. But the combination of a think lab with actual real customer feedback in the marketplace allows us to create a product roadmap that's super interesting for our customers. The third is a team. I met Stan, I met our engineering team. 60+% of the company is focused on product and engineering. So we're pumping out features. We're building new product. We're innovating on the front edge. This is not, a heavy service business behind the scenes. We just got a bunch of humans doing manual tasks. Like, we're building an efficient, scalable technology product, and we got the team in place, and we got the company structure right, where the vast majority of the investment is in builders. Now, we still got to sell. We still got to onboard. Those roles are super important, but the structure is right, where we are investing heavily in product for the future. And by the way, the leaders of those teams are excellent. So, when I came in, it wasn't like, hey, sorry, leaders, I got my whole squad. It's let's build on what we got. Everybody here has a specialization. Everybody here can be great. How do I help the team achieve greater things? And so we moved folks around. We made some promotions, and we said, let's go. And so I think the team that we have in place is really good. And then last is our financial position. I live in California, but I'm not this like crazy Silicon Valley, like we got to grow 400%. And if we don't grow 400%, nobody's going to get their paycheck next week. Like, that's not an exciting company for me to work at. I don't want to work at a company like that. I don't want the pressure of having to grow 400% or people aren't going to get paid. And so the beauty of this business is we're growing at a great rate. Our financial profile is super attractive. And what that really means is that we control our own destiny. And companies that control their own destiny financially are the right types of companies for me personally to want to run. And so I thought about those things, and that's how I landed here.
You're doing a great job so far. I continue to get excited every day to wake up and continue working with you and collaborate with you to continue driving growth at Super Dispatch. So let's stay on the topic of learning a little bit longer. We started trying something new this year on this podcast, and I started bringing in some of the team members. We had Jake McDonald on the show a couple of weeks ago talking about fraud. That was awesome. That was really fun to talk about fraud and how we're fighting fraud to create a marketplace built on trust for the auto transport industry. And then we also had Vin on the podcast talking about pricing, insights, payments, the shipper experience. But these guys have been around Super Dispatch for a while because we are so engaged with customers. And then we talk to them all the time. We're at conferences. They talk to us. A lot of people know Jake from his time in support. A lot of people know Vin because he's been here 10 years. And literally, this guy's been going door to door, talking to customers, learning about their pain points so we could build the right products for them. But you're a new guy. But for a new guy, you seem to know a lot in a short amount of time. So tell us a little bit about your learning process of how you're integrating into the auto transport industry and onboarding yourself to immerse into this space and learn more.
Again, sir. Marcos, I'm Matt Bradley. I'm the CEO. Say hi, and that's Stan.
Hi.
What's your company?
EMJ Logistics.
Okay, awesome. Hey, super team. We have Marcos. Marcos is a owner-operator from Elm Logistics. He just picked up, you can see back there, Mercedes that's been totaled, and he's driving that bad boy to Florida. And then over here, we have another customer of ours. And by the way, Stan, say hi. What is going on, everybody? This is Jeremy. Jeremy is the general manager of this salvage yard. Makes all the trains run on time, make sure everybody stays safe.
Right, you.
Yes. This is Eddie, dispatcher. Okay. My man Anthony. Anthony once drove a loader.
Yeah.
And now what do you do?
Process and innovation director. So what's coming out, what's new and improves, how we make things better.
And then lastly, we have one more carrier. API Logistics. This is a customer of ours, and he, the driver Jordanis, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to get to him, but he just picked up this nice beat up, looks like a Chrysler. This just got loaded on the carrier, and this is going to Killeen, Texas, and then he's going to Alabama, and then he's going to Florida, and so this is what's going down. And by the way, as we can see right here, we got Marcos. Marcos was the guy with Elm Logistics, and off he goes into the sunset. That car will be in West Palm Beach. He's getting paid $521 for that move. See you guys later.
I meant what I said. So you're learning fast. For example, like your detail, lots of like attention to detail. But also, I think for some people that will actually listen to this, you have ideas around like, I'm going to meet everyone at the company. That's good, like internally for management. But then you want to ride in a truck. I don't know if you go to corporate or to the actual auction, but like field stuff, meeting people and talking to them like at the conferences and stuff, like you being present, not being just some corporate, CEO dude, I think would be good because that's so sort of on brand for us.
Yeah, totally.
And these things are organic, like these things came from you, right? I wasn't like, you got to do these things, which I think is
totally
great.
So there's a bunch of stuff I want to do and I have done, and there's way more to do. So I think first, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but going to the field and seeing where customers, go and spending time with them and understanding the whole ecosystem that exists around Super. We solve one particular need, but this ecosystem is quite large. And so going to Used Car Week as an example and walking the expo floor and talking to a lot of different folks, some of which are our customers, some of which participate in the ecosystem and really have not a lot to do with Super. So, hey, I spent 30 minutes at Used Car Week with a guy who ran a company that sold insurance on the back of electric vehicles. Because if your battery fails in your electric vehicle, that is a very costly financial commitment that you have to make as a driver personally. And so just, hearing how to think about that and all that type of stuff, it's just interesting. Like I at the end of the day, the thing at the core is that I'm just like a very intellectually curious person. I like to know what's going on in the world. I just have a lot of questions about how the world works and why it spins and, how whoever thinks about whatever they think about. And so for me, I've chosen to focus that curiosity on car carriers, brokers, and shippers. And so I just think that it's like a really fascinating world that, 13 months ago, I did never think about. And now it's like, I wake up and I told actually the product teams this morning, it was like 99.99% of the world doesn't think about this at all. We're in the 0.1% where we think about this all day, every day. I went to bed last night thinking about how we can think about improving a very particular experience for the car carrier. And it's fun. And so I went to field events is the first thing. The second thing is, and I committed to this to our employees, I'm going to meet every single employee at this company. Okay. I'm going to do a one-on-one with every single one of them. And the reason that's important is I think we have many folks like Vin and Jake as an example, who I've already met both of them and done one-on-ones with them and spent a bunch of time with them. And Jake probably loves all the emails are on. But those guys know their shit. It would be silly of me as the new guy to come in and not take their expertise and ingrain it in my brain. Because the reality is they've been working on this for a long time. Vin actually drove a car. He actually got behind the wheel. And you actually dispatched to his truck. And so he actually drove a truck. He actually has sat in the seat that our customers sit in. Like, why would I not spend a bunch of time with these guys? These guys know exactly what our customers are experiencing. So spending time with our employees. So it was going to the field, spending time with our employees, and then spending time with our customers. And I'm starting to do that more and more. We're ramping up. So I'm going next week, hopefully. We're pending a confirmation, but we've given out dates. It may not be next week, but hopefully it's next week. We're going to one of our customers. We're going to go to their headquarters, but they have a facility there too, is my understanding. And we're going to go look at how Super is powering a company that ships a lot of vehicles, and they ship via 3 mechanisms. They have their own transport network, they use brokers, and they also use Super as a way for them to access our carrier network and deliver cars, and probably the best way for their customers to receive vehicles. And so the fact that we're powering that, super cool. Want to see how it works. I'm excited about how it works. I'll probably ask some really dumb questions. But we'll figure it out, and he'll teach me, and we'll continue to learn. And there's a whole host of customers after that. And so, I think about industry events. I think about our employee base having tons of knowledge, and I think about going to spend time with real customers that experience our product. I'm going to get in the truck. Okay. I'm going to go across California somewhere, and we're going to go deliver some vehicles. And I think that's going to be really fun.
So Matt, you mentioned meeting everyone on the team, and I love that you're doing that. And I love hearing the things that you're learning in the company, how well versed you're becoming, and how Super Dispatch operates, and what exactly and how exactly we provide value to the customers in auto transport space. But to spend a little bit more time on the team and your approach to your leadership approach or your management approach on how you work with people. You have a lot of experience managing teams, managing people, working with executives, working directly with customers. One of the things, for example, Rackspace was known for, if I remember correctly, is fanatical support. I mean, there's a radical customer obsession, I believe, or whatever you want to call it at Rackspace. You have this wealth of experience. How are you taking years and years of experience, and what are you bringing into, as far as like lessons and strategies and approaches, what are you bringing into your new role as a CEO at Super Dispatch?
So that's a good one. I think when I first talked to the team about some of my core operating principles, I thought, hey, how can I articulate how I like to think about things? And by the way, all of these principles that I have developed have come from some prior experience. And so, for example, one of my core operating principles is that we need to have a customer first view of everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Like when we talk about things internally, we did X, Y, Z, improved our onboarding time from X to Y, or we did X, Y, Z, resulted in an increased usage of feature X. It's cool to measure those metrics, and it's cool to use words to talk about it, but it's way more fascinating to actually see exactly what the Figma flow is in the actual design and experience that a customer sees, because then it's real. It's real. And so, my customer centricity came from Rackspace. That company was extremely customer centric in how we thought about things. We had banners all over the corporate headquarters that had a bunch of different quotes over time from our executive leadership team. And one of them that I remember super well is, it was a quote from the CEO at the time, who was an excellent leader. And it just said, "We will be recognized as great, when our customers say we're great." And so it always puts in focus who gets the vote on our greatness and whether we're doing the right things. We're not great when we say we're great ourselves. Like, you may think you're great, but the reality is, we exist to serve customers. And so our greatness is measured in our customers' view of our ability to serve them. And so that's one of the things that I'm really focused on, and the team's focused on, and we have to be focused on, because at the end of the day, the car carrier, the shipper, and the broker are the core segments that we are serving. And we need to put our heads and our mind into where they are every day and how they think about the world and how we improve the problems or opportunities that they face so that we can make their lives better. Because if we make their lives better, we'll be in a good spot. So that's one that's really important to me. I think, the another thing that I really saw both at Morgan Stanley and Rackspace, because those are massive organizations, is you get to see what scale looks like. And you get to see Morgan Stanley is obviously a huge company. But Rackspace was not always a huge company. And so I got to see growth and scaling of that. And so you just learn how to manage teams, how to think about decision-making, how to, and this relates to another principle that I have, which is trust but verify. And so one of the things I talk about with the team is I believe our team should have autonomy in how to operate. Okay. I don't want to be some overarching dictator or, corporate suit that sits in the back and is like, no. So I trust our team. I want to trust our teams. And I do trust our teams. If I didn't trust our teams, they wouldn't be leading these teams. And so our leaders have my trust, but I do like to verify. And so this is where you'll see me ask questions that are deep in the weeds, deep in the weeds. And so, for example, last night, we actually moved over to a new support and ticketing system. And we moved over to that ticketing system so that we could better understand what was happening and what types of customer questions we're getting. And we could ultimately, at the end of the day, ensure that we are providing a great support experience to our customer. And so, we went through a lot to get to that phase. And then this morning, this is an example of trust but verify. I am in our system pretending to be a customer, figuring out how it's going to work and how long is time to first respond. What's our goal and where are we relative to that? And that's just an example of me. I trust that we'll get it done. I think what we've rolled out is excellent. Do I think we can get better? Absolutely. Will we get better? Absolutely. Is it my job to really sit in the shoes of our customers and understand the experience they would get if they were a customer? Yes. And so, I call it the trust but verify principle because it's important. I think a couple, the other one that is probably number one for me, probably should have started here, but here we are, is transparency. So I will be ruthlessly transparent about my opinions, about where we're going, why we're going. I leave meetings with, hey, is there anything else that we need to cover? Because I want to be sure all questions are answered. I want to be sure that we know where we're going and why we're going there. I think there are cultures that exist where people leave meetings and they're like, I don't really know what Matt thinks. I don't really know what the CEO wants to do. And I think those are bad cultures. I think it should be abundantly clear what I think. And in many cases, what I think is an opinion and other people can have opinions. And if we use data to make decisions, my opinion is just an opinion. And the reality is teams will get tons of leeway to try things out. And if it doesn't work, we'll reevaluate and we'll try something new. But you'll know whether I'm on board to do what you want to do. I don't agree with what you want to do, but I totally support the testing of it. Or if it's a hard no. And I think that is the right way to operate. I have a friend who works at Meta. And one of the things he said about Zuckerberg is he said, listen, Zuckerberg owns the company. And so one of the things he loves about working with Zuckerberg is that he never leaves a meeting uncertain with what Zuckerberg wants to do. And I actually think that's something I want to emulate because I think that direction is one of the biggest things a CEO has to help guide. So those are some of the operating principles and stories that intersect with how I think about leadership.
Yeah, it's good. And I have to say let's say the courtship period of us entertaining the idea of you being the leader of this company that we built and the community that we've cultivated and continue to support in auto transport, I think these core principles and philosophies and core values are very important. And I think cultural alignment around these core values was very important. And that's why I wanted you to touch on that, because I know it's not just our customers listening to this, but also our team members as well, who I
Yep.
know have heard this from you already that are all hands. So let's talk about the industry, and let's just talk about, based on where you are today and based on what you see today at Super Dispatch and at this industry, what have you identified so far as opportunities for growth or potential risks or challenges that you foresee for the company or for the industry or for the customer base? Tell us a little bit about the view that you're beginning to form about, let's just say, 2025 and what lies ahead.
Okay, so this is a good one. I think, and by the way, this is a big reason why I came to Super. I think our growth is only limited by the industry within which we operate. And I think we have tremendous potential to do way, way more for car carriers, shippers, and brokers. And so I think when you look at our business, ultimately, we have those three sets of customers, and in the center of that is a load board that they can interact with, and interact with one another. And so we have, the way that I like to describe it is, we have a set of software services with a marketplace component. And what I then like to do is I like to break down the opportunities that we have in each of the segments that exist. So if we start with car carriers, I think we have a best-in-class product for load management. And what I mean by load management is the core functions that exist today for a car carrier around dispatching and transporting loads, which means, hey, you got to have a really good carrier TMS to dispatch, and you got to have a driver app that is the workflow tool that allows the driver to accomplish the tasks of their job every day. The things we talked about earlier, like getting signatures and taking photos. Those are core functions that a driver has to do every day, many times a day. And so I think we have and are really positioned well within load management. And by the way, there's a million things we're going to do this year that improve either the dispatcher's abilities to do their job or the car or the driver's ability to do their job. And so an example would be what we're calling trips. So if you know that you're going from, let's say, Dallas to New York, and you're going to stop through Nashville, and there's an available spot on your truck, wouldn't you love to be notified that along your route, there's an opportunity for you to pick up additional revenue and have your truck better utilized? Of course you would. Why wouldn't you? And so those are the types of things that we will do that will improve, in many ways, the dispatch experience, but also the driver experience, because, ultimately payment at the end of the day depends upon utilization of your truck. And so, that's an example of improving the load management experience. I think we have a tremendous opportunity on the carrier side to move beyond load management. And so this is where we've started to talk to customers about, hey, what are the other things that you would like us to do for you? And so one of the things we're going to launch this year is called Instant Pay. And Instant Pay is going to be essentially the concept of a car carrier could get paid, they'll deliver a load, and they could get paid $100 or whatever the price at day 30. We want to come to them and say, for a reduced fee, we'll pay you that immediately. And now that's complicated because we got to make sure that the invoice is a legitimate invoice. And this is a complicated industry with some actors that are not good actors. And so we have to be sure that if we're condensing that payment and we're taking some payment risk, we have to be sure that it's a quality invoice and a quality shipper. We have to be sure that the car was delivered. We have to be sure that a whole host of other things have happened. So it's a complicated product to build out. But we know that our car carriers want to get paid faster. We know it. And we know that many of these are small businesses. And we know that many of them are constrained in working capital. And we know that many of them need cash faster. And so that's an example of an ancillary service or product we're going to offer and put out this year. And there are probably 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other examples of ancillary services that we know our car carriers want that will help them better manage their business, better manage their cash flow, understand analytics, what's happening, and help them run and operate a car carrier. And so that's a tremendous opportunity for us. And the reason I feel really good about it is this is a tried and true playbook. So this isn't like a super novel, we're going to Mars idea. There are hundreds of examples of companies who have figured out how to serve a particular segment really well with a core software product and said, the core software product is so valuable, but wouldn't it be even more valuable if we offered X and Y and Z on top? And so we're going to do that for the car carrier. And I think our customers, I hope our customers love it. And it's just it's an opportunity for us to deliver more to that customer. And at the end of the day, make running their business easier. So that's on the car carrier side. I think on the shipper side, there are, I think there's really 3 types of customers. There's customers that really need to find a carrier and care about our load board because you get access to one of the best carrier networks. There are customers that don't care about our load board at all, but care about all the functionality and management that our TMS offers. And so they'll manage private networks. And then there are customers that care about both. And so as we think about shippers, that's how we're thinking about the market. And we're optimizing for those different types of customers by doing certain things in any particular set. So we're making it easy, for example, for the enterprise shipper who doesn't care about our load board at all to work really well with their private network. And if they have a set of 5 or 10 brokers that they love to use every day, how do we make it as easy as possible for that shipper where the demand for movement is originating and say, man, wouldn't it be easier if everything flowed to brokers in the following way and then flowed back to the shipper in the following way, so that there was complete visibility around the shipping experience and where cars are and when they get delivered and anything that went wrong and what went wrong and when it went wrong and what if we got alerts real time? And so there's a tremendous opportunity with shippers in those 2 markets. I think a subset, and then in the middle is the load board. And I think, I am extremely growth focused. I think the one area where I am willing to sacrifice growth in the near term for quality is the load board, because ultimately we have to reputationally be considered the best place to put your loads. And by the way, that's on both sides of the market. So we have to be sure that shippers treat our carriers well. So they pay on time, they post legitimate loads, all those types of things. We equally have to make sure that the carriers that exist are valid. If they're reliable, we have a set of ratings and you can trust those ratings. If their FMCSA registration is new or they're inexperienced on the super platform, we need to notify the shipper and just say, hey, listen, like this carrier has a set of qualified documents, but qualified documents does not equal reliable. And so it is our duty to say to you, hey, shipper, are you sure you want to move forward with this? And so I think there's just a tremendous amount of work to do there to create that right experience in a load board. And then last is the broker community. And I think we as a company are going to choose to embrace the broker. And so one of the things I'm doing is I have a pitch for all the major brokers out there, and it's quite simple. Here's the pitch. It's twofold. The pitch is we're the best technology partner for you, and we'll make it happen. And the second is you're invited to Asterix Cancun, because it may be Cancun, but it may be somewhere else, in October for a broker summit where we're going to get folks together to share best practices and learnings. And it's not just going to be a super sales pitch. It's going to be a collaborative, community-driven event. We're going to invite vendors from outside of the ecosystem that do things other than us. We'll see if they show up. I think they'll show up. And, we want to bring folks together. And I think that, the pitch ultimately of we're going to be your best technology partner and we're going to invite you to Cancun is the start of a good pitch. And so we're excited about that because I think at the end of the day, brokers play a critical role in this ecosystem, an absolutely critical role. And, we would be silly to not embrace them and understand their challenges and what they need from a platform like ours. So hopefully that helps.
I love that view. Obviously, I'm on board and I'm a big fan of this strategy and this approach. You know what I thought of when you talked about the carrier TMS being the operating system for the carrier and going beyond just load management. I remember all the times I got phone calls whenever the systems went down temporarily, because one of the benefits of being the founder and seeing your company grow is that a lot of people have your cell phone number. When something goes wrong, people call you or text you. They use you as a personal, speed dial to Super Dispatch support. So my cell phone sometimes serves as that. Not as much anymore because we've figured out a lot of the kinks over time. But I would hear carriers say stuff like, the load boards can go down, but my TMS cannot. If Super goes down, I can't operate. My drivers are out there. I'm picking up cars. I'm delivering cars. I'm doing this. I can't have Super go down. Right, which years ago it made us rethink about our infrastructure and architecture and the reliability of the platform. So I think it's great that you're listening to the customers and leaning into the role of Super Dispatch as the operating system of the carrier and finding ways to deliver more value. On the other hand, I love the emphasis on how to serve the shippers and the brokers better, and the whole idea around embracing the broker. By the way, super excited about Cancun or another exotic destination. But my favorite thing about the Broker Summit is that I don't think we've ever gotten into the room with the brokers in this space and collaborated directly. We've done it one at a time. We've gone to them one at a time and we've taken their feedback or over Zoom in the post-COVID world. But to start something where we get together as an industry into the same room and venue, and technology partners and these companies collaborate, and we understand what's best for the broker business model moving forward, what's best for them to serve their customers and grow their business, and how can we be that strong technology partner for them for the next 5-10 years is super exciting.
Yep.
And this is the kind of stuff that you're here to do, Matt. I mean, that's why I love the vision that you shared early on. I love the drive, and I love that you're so customer driven that you want to take what we've built at Super Dispatch and take it to the next level.
It's going to be fun.
Let's wrap with all these fun questions and get to a serious closing question. We're coming up on a Super Bowl next weekend, whenever this comes out. I don't know, but maybe we'll have we'll know the winner by the time this episode comes out or not. But let's just go on a record and say, who do you got in the Super Bowl?
This is an easy one for me. So despite not being from Kansas City or having any ties to Kansas City at all, my mom is a Patrick Mahomes fan. I have no idea why that has developed into what it is, but she is a huge Mahomes fan, and she has, by proxy, made my oldest son a huge Mahomes fan, to the point where my 5-year-old thinks every quarterback's name is Patrick Mahomes. Like, he'll be like, "Oh, that's a Mahomes," and I'm, "Yeah, that's Jordan Love," or no, that's Brock Purdy, and he's like, "No, that's a Mahomes." So we're rooting for the Chiefs for two reasons. First, my mother and my oldest son, and second, Super is a Kansas City based company, and so we got to go with our hometown heroes.
Yep. Well, we'll see. We'll see how this comes out. I'm also rooting for the Chiefs, being my hometown team, and it's been an exciting journey. But yeah, Matt, it's been great to have you on the show. Thanks for making time. I know that our customers in the industry will continue to hear from you, and I know you'll continue to have presence in the industry. And maybe we'll do this again sometime down the road.
Yes, sir. This has been fun.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. See you back.